Welcome to Southern Craft. I'm Wes Lewis. Today we're going to talk about swarm traps, how I like to set mine up, where and how I like to hang them, and most importantly, how to know when you've had a swarm of bees move into your swarm trap. But before we get started, if you really want to understand what a swarm of bees is looking for in a new home, I highly recommend this book, Honeybee Democracy by Thomas D. Seeley. It is a wealth of knowledge, and I'll leave a link to that in the description. So when I'm setting up a swarm trap, especially if it's a new trap, I'm going to take a block of wax and I'm going to rub it around on the inside of the box, try to cover as many of the surfaces as I possibly can. Then I'm using 3 different configurations of frames. The first frame is typically going to be some old brood comb, and that gives a lot of bee smell and it gives the queen somewhere to immediately start laying. The second 2 frames are going to be plastic foundation that I have added wax to. They're going to go on either side of that dirty brood comb. And the last 2 frames I'm going to put in is just some ripped down plastic foundation inserted and waxed in as starter strips. And those will go on the outside edges of the box. And before I screw the lid on, I'm either going to take lemongrass oil or Swarm Commander. If it's Swarm Commander, I'm just going to put 1 squirt on the lid. Then I'm going to screw the lid down closed. After I hang the trap, I'm going to squirt 1 more shot inside the entrance, and that's it. And I only rebait these traps about every 2.5 to 3 weeks. With Swarm Commander or lemongrass oil, a little goes a long way, and you can over scent a trap in a hurry. And I will use either lemongrass oil or Swarm Commander, and I really don't see a lot of difference in the catch rate between the 2. I'll leave a link in the description for both of them if you'd like to check that out. Now, let's go hang this trap. I like to hang traps on old house places, down power lines and the edge of fields. Getting ahead of myself, but this is the one we're fixing to hang in the video. All right, so I like to hang my traps at about eye level, and I will put a nail at about 8 feet off the ground. For you tree huggers out there, I take the nail out at the end of the year. And that height makes it easy access to take it on and off of the tree. Also like to face the entrance either south or east. To tie it off to the tree, I'm going to loop a loop in one end. I've already got a little girl checking it out. She smells that lemongrass oil. All right, I'm going to bring the twine around the box. Make a secondary loop. Through my first loop, back through my second loop. Use the edge of the box to pull tight. Cinch it snug. Then bring my extra twine over to the side. I'm going to put 1 squirt of Swarm Commander in the entrance, and she's set. Now let's talk about the different activity you're likely to see once your swarm trap is set. This trap is set in a clearing on an old house place, and what you're seeing at the entrance is robbing behavior. This is not uncommon, especially the first few days after a trap has been set. To minimize this, I try to make sure the old brood comb I use has already been robbed out, but as you can see, this does not always work. You can recognize robbing behavior by the aggressive buzzing made by the bees, as well as the fighting you can clearly see around the entrance and on the face of the trap itself. If you see this behavior, just be patient. The robbers will move on once there's no more resources left in the trap. As a side note, you should never purposely add additional honey or sugar syrup to your traps. This will only prolong the robbing activity. Now to one of my favorite activities to watch, and that's scouts. There are a lot of telltale signs given by the scouts. The easiest for me to recognize is the way they'll fly around the swarm trap, sometimes even bumping the box periodically as they size it up. The number of scouts may vary greatly depending on whether or not there are any swarms currently in the area, the number of other new potential hive sites available to them, and the level of interest they have in your trap itself. Two other things to watch for include flying out of the entrance only to fly right back in, often multiple times, and crawling around on the inside of the entrance opening as they take their measurements. For whatever reason, this fascinates me, knowing these girls are evaluating every aspect of their potential new home, measuring and gathering information to carry back to the swarm cluster to give their report. Next, we have what we've been waiting for. This is a colony that has very recently moved in. You'll notice the girls are busy and very much working with a purpose. Often with a recently moved in swarm, you'll see some orientation flights and a few butts in the air fanning their signal that this is our new home. However, the most reliable sign to watch for is pollen being brought into the swarm trap. Once you see this, you can rest assured a new colony has moved in and is setting up shop. Now we have the greatest spectacle of all when it comes to swarm trapping, the move-in. Thousands of bees moving through the air on a unified mission to colonize a new home. They slowly begin to land on the trap near the entrance, only a few at first, but in only a matter of seconds the numbers become more than the entrance can handle. The swarm builds on the face of the trap as more and more bees come in for a landing. The cluster begins to spiral around the entrance as they funnel their way inside in a chaotic but orderly fashion. Now, once I'm certain that a new colony has moved into one of my swarm traps, I'll either go after dark or early in the morning and retrieve the trap. It's not uncommon for me to catch multiple swarms in the same location in any given year, so I'll go ahead and mount a new trap back in the same location. Now I'll take our new catch to one of my yards at least 3 miles away, and I'll set it up and let the bees begin to orient before moving them into a hive body the next day. And if you'd like to watch a video on one of the ways I build swarm traps, check out this next video, and there's free plans in the description of that video as well. Thanks for watching.